Hello and welcome to Positive Fandom, everybody. This is RM here. And of course, today I am joined here with Russ Whitfield. How are you today, Russ?
Oh, I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm not doing too great this morning, Russ.
I'm sorry to hear this. What's going on?
Yeah, I think I ate something that was bad. So this is absolutely killing me.
Ugh.
Yeah, it is bad. But I hope everybody out there is okay. I just want to say hello to everybody um this morning or this afternoon or evening, wherever you guys are. Hello, Tom Junior Jackson. Good morning to you. We are all goof people. Hope you are well. Um, and Mikey Lito is with us this morning.
Hey,
How are you? um,
he
Mario
updated.
Lopez.
Has he updated his picture?
That's a good question. Let's take a look at that. Yeah.
I think he has. I think he has.
And Mario Lopez is here this morning. Good morning to you, Mario Lopez. So
Hey,
glad
Maria.
join us here on Positive Fandom. And who else is here today? We have Bear Down Adam. Good morning, Bear Down Adam. I hope you are well.
Hello.
Um, so good to see you. We also have Cool Gamer. Hi, Cool Gamer. Hope you are doing great this morning. There's also Mark Mitchell. Mark Mitchell is joining us this morning.
Hey,
Hello.
Mark.
Also wanted to say here, Tom Junior Jackson is talking about Mikey Lito's YouTube channel. So, guys, if you do get a chance, please go ahead and check that out. Um, Also, Mario Lopez is mentioning to us, if you guys love aliens, watch the Drinkers VIP Lounge with Mark Rolston and Private Drake. It was a great interview. We
I
will.
do love aliens. I don't know if I said it before on this particular stream, but there was a back in the 80s when it was still new in the cinema when it was doing its cinema run. There was a cinema in Leicester Square. It was like off of Leicester Square, like off Broadway, and they showed it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And me and my friend Chris, who just stayed with me this last weekend, actually, we used to go up every weekend and watch it. And they got to know us so well in the cinema that by the end of its run, when it had finished, they gave us all the 8x10s and the posters and the stand-ups and all that sort of. Of course, getting that stuff back then was virtually impossible. So yes, huge Aliens fans. I've been meaning to watch it, but I've had people staying with me, so I've not really had much of a chance to sit and consume live streams. But no, definitely his last one actually with Neil Marshall was really good because Neil's a top bloke. And I'm a big fan of his work as well. And Neil Marshall is a big fan of Aliens, so gone full circle there. But yeah, massive fan, mate. Thank you for that.
Absolutely, Mario. We definitely are going to check that out. I too am a huge Alien fan, so I can't wait to check that out for sure. And then we also have Renz Tolentino. Good morning, Renz Tolentino. I hope you are
Hey,
well.
Renz.
Guys, check out Renz's most recent artwork of Doctor Strange 2. It is amazing. Thank you so much, Tom Junior Jackson. I sure hope I do feel better. This one is really hitting me hard, guys.
Yeah,
Luminar.
so I'm gonna jump in before we say hello to the beautiful Luminara. Um, Aram, if you're not doing great, as much as we all love to hang out here on a Sunday morning, yeah, I think people are going to understand if you've got to go. Look, I can't do it anymore, and I'll hang on and hold the fort for a bit if it's going that way. But just to say, I don't think anybody's going to mind, you know.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate that, Russ, because it really is very difficult. And I appreciate that. So I may have to duck out for a second, and then Russ will hold it, and then I'll come back. Luminara 843. Good morning to you. It's so wonderful to see you,
Hello,
Luminara.
lovely.
Luminara and her wonderful poses of her 1/6 scale figures
Mm,
and much more. Good to see you this morning, as always. Dennis Mason says 7:35 in Hollywood and it's 69 degrees. Yeah, it
holy
is.
smoke.
As you guys know, I am in Anaheim and it is really warm here. I'm enjoying the warm weather, so I have absolutely no problems whatsoever with that. And we also have Darth Plato with us. Let me see if I can just pan down. Darth Plato, hey, how are you?
Hello,
It's
Darth Vader.
so good to see you, Darth Plato. We certainly do enjoy having you here with us on Sunday brunch to talk up all the different things going on. And Dennis Mason, hello, Dennis
All right,
Mason.
Ben.
If I haven't already said hi, I might have said it already. Stubble McShave is with us. Hey, Stubble. He was telling me that he watched Eurovision this weekend.
Oh, was
Uh,
that this weekend? I had no idea. My mate was over, as I say, this weekend, so we ended up watching a bunch of 80s movies, including Red Dawn, which I have not seen since the last time I was round at Chris's. Not the last time I was there, but we watched it maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, something like that. Haven't seen it since, and we were pretty hammered the last time we watched it, but this time we were stone cold sober. I'd forgotten actually just what a brilliant movie that is. And the strange thing about Red Dawn is like everybody remembers it as like a bit of 80s cheese and all that stuff. But I will say the performances in that film from those kids, as they were, Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, the Brat Pack, Aaron Gray, all
Emma
those, all those,
Thompson, um,
yeah, was it Aaron Gray? No, it wasn't Aaron Gray. That was Buck Rogers. The name's gone out of my mind. Anyway, um, the acting in it was top draw because we spent a lot of time watching their sort of reactions to things as they were not, because obviously we can quote the film back to front. Such a great movie, such a bad remake, but brilliant film. Highly recommended.
Definitely. I love Red Dawn. I know they did a remake. I don't know what that was like. I haven't watched that, but that original one, I mean, we watched that film just like you over and over again and enjoyed it tremendously. So,
But I
and I
think with the sorry.
now I often wondered what would happen if there was an invasion. It's one of these movies where essentially that's what happens is that there's an invasion on in pretty much in middle America, or at least it felt like it. And I thought it was very cleverly done.
Well, it was it was well thought out, and I'll address this in a second, Mario. Yeah, I mean, even the whole idea of it was kind of based on other revolutions. So the sort of premise was that lots of because it was the Colombians and the Russians, they sort of flooded lots of illegal immigrants apparently, but of course these were all sort of crack special forces teams that had got in over the border, and then they chartered loads of aeroplanes with special forces on the aeroplanes, and they used tactical nukes and they launched the things all. So it was in of its time feasible. You could see how it sort of happened, and it wasn't like one of those things where it was a complete takeover. It was a surprise attack, but America then wasn't sort of sitting on its hands and the whole of America had been conquered. It was essentially the bottom half, and then the lines had sort of stabilized, and Third World War has been fought in America. But with the remake, that was strange because it was supposed to be China invading America,
Right, I
and
remember
that
that.
this seemed to be, you know, if not pleasant, but feasible. But then they suddenly realized that they wanted Chinese money, or they didn't want to offend the Chinese, and then they made it the North Koreans. And when you do that, you the promise of the premise, the threat, it just isn't there, because you could imagine China may well have the power and the manpower and all that kind of thing to pull off such a feat, as you had the Russians and two combined countries doing it against America in the original Red Dawn. But North Korea on its own, no. And I think you'd already lost people, but because it was so ridiculous to start off with. And I saw it once and I can't remember anything about it.
Yeah, I do remember that situation with, them wanting funding from China, and they couldn't,
Mm.
go and use them as sort of the bad guys in the film, which was, really interesting, but it still did not make a great film, unfortunately, as I think one of the viewers here has said. Yes, I am in California, Dennis Mason. I am in Anaheim, and, I'm here for a few weeks before Star Wars Celebration starts. And Darth Plato and Pops. Hello, Pops. Welcome to Positive Fandom this morning and Sunday Brunch. Says, I couldn't agree more about the original. Absolutely. Um, Dennis Mason says 80s cheese has aged quite well. The kids are amused by the boobage and thrilled by the music. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a thing though, was it? Like it just wasn't a thing. Every movie had that. Strangely, Red Dawn didn't. I imagine because it was dealing with essentially, teenagers. But that was just a thing, and you never thought anything. It was always a result, but you never really thought anything of it. And only now has it become um, a new thing. Yeah, it was North Korea, Darth Plato. Did I say South Korea? I meant North Korea. But yeah, but it was supposed to be China, and it ended up being North Korea, and that just made it dumb.
Absolutely, and Paul in Long Beach says, "Goof morning from the beach." Yes, we are all goof people, Paul in Long Beach. Goof morning to you as well. And, Stubble, goes on to talk about, a Kurosawa marathon yesterday. What is your favorite Kurosawa film? Well, Russ, do you have a favorite Kurosawa film?
Ran. Ran.
Yeah.
I love that one, King Lear. And I think also I have to say I haven't watched a lot of Kurosawa in a number of years. And when I did watch it, I was a lot younger. Maybe I should revisit because I don't think I had the appreciation of it that I should have now as an old fart. But I remember Ran. I just thought was really 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 great. And I think it was in color certainly, and that sort of grabbed me as a younger person. But yeah, if I had to pick one, that would be the one because it's the one that just as soon as I saw the question, that was the one that popped into my head. So not Seven Samurai or anything like that.
Yeah, I do like The Seventh Samurai. I also like Rand. I've seen a lot of his films, but, just like you, I haven't watched them recently, and I certainly hadn't watched them in a while to compare them to, let's say, things like, some of the spaghetti westerns and other films that took a lot of scenes and inspiration from Kurosawa films. About the only thing I've watched that was Kurosawa inspired recently was The Ghost of Tsushima in Kurosawa mode, which is in black and white. So so that's what I've been seeing recently, but it definitely is worth a checking out. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, Stubble. And Stubble, you'd also mentioned that you watch Eurovision for an hour. From what I understand, it is a Ukrainian orchestral group that won. And, they're, of course, they're very happy about the win. But they're saying it is quite possibly a political statement for the nation. Last year, it was a group called something like Mainskin, and they're a heavy metal band from, I think they were from Italy. And so that group is going to be having some of their music used in television uh, in a famous series. I can't remember the series just now. Normally I would remember this, but and their music is going to be featured in a TV series that's coming up. So this Eurovision competition, which has been around for ages, is huge, and I'm so happy for that group that won this year. And I'm kind of curious as to what you thought about it, Stubble. Um, Bloodsport One says, "Good morning, Art and Russ. Hey."
Man with the best handle on the internet. Hey, Bloodsport.
And, let's see, what else do we have here? Darth Vader says the crew of the Falcon in Star Wars was 7 in number 2. Yes, yes. He's talking about
Mm,
Kurosawa, right, Russ?
I guess so. Funny enough, we were talking about Blake Seven over the weekend as well, which I don't know if you know about. It's a British science fiction show from the 70s that was sort of made on BBC budget with plastic sets and uh, cheesy music and all that sort of thing. But the actual premise of the show was really good, and we were discussing it this weekend. And we think Avon, the sort of the nominal lead after the actor that played Blake, wanted too much money, and they binned him for most of the season. So it sort of stopped being Blake Seven and became Avon's Five, or something like that. But it was always called Blake Seven. But Avon, as far as we could remember, was the first real anti-hero that we can remember seeing on TV. Like Avon was all about saving himself first of all, and he did do some noble things, but there was always a reason for it. And he was essentially a villain. He was a villain in charge of the show. It's just that the Federation they were fighting were far more evil than he was. But yeah, there's been often talks about a Blake Seven remake, and I hope they don't do it because if they remade it today, it would be full of BBC nonsense like Doctor Who is. But it would be good to see it when all this maybe in 10 years. I'd love to see a Blake Seven remake.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I've never seen it before, so, I certainly would like to check it out, and, I'm glad you mentioned it because I always like to hear, different shows from different countries, like that, so thank you for sharing that, Russ. And, Tom Junior Jackson says, something about The Magnificent Seven.
That was
Yeah,
they were talking about remakes. So I think it was Yojimbo, was a Kurosawa movie that was for a fistful of dollars, and then the Magnificent Seven was basically a shot-for-shot remake of Seven Samurai. I think Yojimbo was the one that Kurosawa joked about with Leone though, and sort of said, "You've literally made my film. Pay me some money." And I think they did pay him some money for ripping him off so blatantly.
yes, and of course, Rashomon, and of course, Darth Vader says, "I remember Blake 7 from the day."
Yeah, it was the 70s. I think it was late 70s, early 80s.
Yes, and, Dennis Mason is talking about the different beaches here in California. I'm supposed to be going to Huntington Beach today. I'm not quite sure whether I'm gonna make it, but,
Mhm.
thanks so much for mentioning that, Dennis Mason. And, Russ, you sent me this really interesting story, or information about, something that, I was completely unaware of that people were working on. It's something called Project Justice League. And I got a chance to watch it. I was like, where is it? Is it on HBO Max? Because I immediately thought, it's got to be something on HBO Max because there are so many shows and movies, like that from that IP on there. And you said, no, it's not on HBO Max, it's on YouTube.
Mhm.
So can you please talk a little bit about Project Justice League? And I did watch it, so we can talk about it as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. Project Justice League is a fan project that's had its fair share of ups and downs. It should be said, but the thrust of it is when Snyder and Jay Oliva released the original storyboards for what Justice League 2 and 3 were gonna be. Before they changed things, obviously. The studio changed things, but these were the original Jeff Johns, Zack Snyder uh, concept art and conceptual thoughts. They released that stuff. So this gang of people called Nicotina for Nerds and For Nerds, I think, are the name of the two channels that got together. They created a motion comic based on the storyboards, with narration, special effects, and for me, most pleasing and most atmospheric about it was, of course, they used all the Hans Zimmer Junkie XL music, and as soon as this thing starts, you get boom boom, like the bit of the Superman theme, and it puts you right back in that Snyderverse world, and it essentially just narrates and acts and has some of the artwork's great. I mean, it might not be to everybody's taste, um, but this must have been this is a Snyder fan thing. This is a huge amount of effort that they've gone to produce this, and it essentially follows the original stories of what the film were going to be. So in this, and no spoilers, I guess, because it's out and you can see it. It's only about 15 minutes long. This In this version of the story, whilst Superman is no longer with us, it transpires that Bruce Wayne and Lois Lane got together, and she's now pregnant with Bruce's child, and she's denying that it is, and there's all this sort of drama going on in the background. And then Lex Luthor gets his team of people together, which ties into the Aquaman movie and the Suicide Squad movie and a whole bunch of stuff. But then Darkseid turns up, an anti-life equation, and Lois gets killed, and Superman turns bad, and then it finishes there essentially, and you will get Justice League 3 from them whenever they've got the time and the wherewithal to do it. The important thing about it is, though, is they've done it for love because they're Zacharites and all of that stuff. But on their page as well, on the YouTube page, there's an option for you to donate for the American Suicide Prevention Fund, which is what we Zacharites, that's the cause that we've united behind. So if anybody wants to throw in $1, and it can be $1 or 50 cents, all of that stuff counts. So go watch it, go enjoy it, and sling 'em a dollar would be my take on it. What did you think?
Yeah, I loved it. I didn't know. I mean, there was some interesting parts in it where Wonder Woman wanted to go back home.
Hmm.
And I thought that that was very interesting, how much she missed her family, and everyone, and I just thought it was wonderful. It was also, of course, somewhat more narrated, parts, at
Mm.
least the one that I watched with writing. So there definitely was a lot of thought put into this, into it, and I'm looking forward. I guess, are they gonna do another version, Russ?
Well, they're gonna make the sequel, but I think, these things take time, and I don't suppose they cost money because everyone's gonna be volunteering to do it, but then you're relying on volunteers. And I saw a review by a DC reviewer called Ping Pong Flicks, and he was saying that there was a lot of controversy around it, with people coming onto the project and people not being on the project, and so on and so on. So I imagine that they'll do it when they get the wherewithal to do it. We've lost our for a second, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through some of these chats if I can see them, because she's normally got the driving seat, so I'm not going to be able to click on stuff for you. So we got Pop says, watched some Blake's 7 in the mid 80s, but it was made earlier, 81, 82. I thought it was the 70s. I thought it was like 1978, 1979, but I could be wrong, and I'm not able to Google it. Um, Tom Junior Jackson says, I've been watching Adam 12s on Amazon's Freevee. I don't know what that is, I'm afraid. Um, what was the last time you watched The Last Dragon? I saw it last week here in New York City. It was playing on the IFC Center. Have you ever been at the IFC Center? I guess she'll answer that one when she gets back. I can't remember the last time I saw The Last Dragon. Dennis is complaining that the 7-Eleven's 2 blocks away. He hasn't had his coffee yet. Um, will Britain save who? Asked Dennis Mason. Will the BBC say, let's go back to a sublime roots? No, I don't. I don't think they will. We touched on this a little bit last week. I think that they've already come out and started talking about all of the usual tropes that you would expect a contemporary BBC show to talk about. So I've got absolutely zero hope for that whatsoever. If you are interested in that stuff, though, I think probably Gary Nerdrotic and Az are the sort of two-star Doctor Who fans. Certainly, Gary Nerdrotic is huge Doctor Who, and they must have did a stream about it. They did do a stream about it. Yeah, RM said. Um, Russ, it's Amazon's Freeview channel. Okay, I will check that out. You were being asked when was the last time you saw The Last Dragon,
Yeah, that
RM?
was, a long time ago, probably sometime in the '90s.
Mm.
But it was a great
Sorry,
one.
Mikey's asking me a question. Are we on British summertime yet? Yeah, we have been for ages. So there's like a period, Mikey, where we've changed and you haven't. So when you're talking to somebody on the East Coast from England, it's normally five. They're normally 5 hours behind. But there's a brief period of time where it's four, 4 hours, and we've already done that.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna have to, I'm not gonna be able to continue the show much longer, but, I did just wanna say hello to everybody. Thank you, Bloodsport, so much for your comments. I don't like to cancel shows, but I couldn't hang in for very long this morning. But it is great to see all of you. I hope you guys are enjoying your morning. The only other thing we were gonna talk about, Russ, and I'm sorry for even cutting this short because I did have a lot to say about Project Justice League. The other
Mm.
thing we were gonna talk about is that, Netflix wants to start live streaming, and essentially, to me, it sounds like, they wanna turn into YouTube. What do you think?
It sounds like maybe YouTube, maybe more like a network, is what it's sounding like, as everybody um, sort of becomes a streaming giant now. Warner Discovery, um, Disney Plus, and Paramount Supersonic, or whatever Paramount one is called now. It seems like Netflix is looking for another angle. I mean, we know that Netflix lost a lot of money recently, and now it seems to be casting around for new ideas. And one of the things that I guess that we in this sphere of the internet would forget about is how popular other things are. Not science fiction, fantasy, superheroes, and all the rest of it. You know, things like reality TV and we were talking about this once before. What we I quite liked. I'm a big one for cheaters. I love cheaters, and I love intervention and 90 Day Fiance and hoarders. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not above a bit of. I would never watch it myself, but if it's on and he wants to watch it, then okay, we'll watch hours and hours and hours of hoarders. Um, so that what they were talking about with Netflix was going into lots of unscripted content, and to me that sounds like reality TV, or it sounds like things like Top Gear, where they just get blokes who drive around in a car and do stupid stuff. Um, and things like American Idol and Pop Stars The Rivals and The Voice and all that kind of thing. Is there a place for that on streaming? Yes, there probably is. Live, yes, but I think where Netflix can really leverage its power if it wants to do this sort of stuff, it would have to start providing different programming for different live programmings for different time zones. There's no good asking the British to vote on who's the best singer on American Idol when the show of American Idol will be on at like 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that, right? And who's going to stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning to vote for Simon Cowell? So you'd have, if they were going to go down that road, they'd have to perhaps do it regionally. Um, but I didn't get it was going to be like YouTube. It sounded more to me like it was just going to become another television program with live shows and chat shows and shit like that. But I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think it's interesting because YouTube themselves tried to become another network at some point, although their effort was not what it should have been with YouTube Red.
Mm,
And I have heard other people like Shadow talk about how the name of that sounded like some other kind of service, like an
yeah,
adult service. So
yeah.
that kind of messed them up. And despite having, access to an incredible amount of talent out there, they weren't able to kind of pull off some decent shows. So it also showed that not only were they not good at marketing their own material, but they really had not planned on having a business model like this, and they never did. I mean, this was a company that would, initially send out hard copy discs to people to watch films. So this was never part of their plan, but they've adapted. And the speculation is that if they don't come up with something soon, they may end up being taken over and sold off, which would make the other streaming people very happy at this point. But honestly, I think that Netflix should, have a go at it because, I think that they have enough of a fan base that people would start to watch it immediately. And this might be one of the first, streaming services that already has millions of viewers. So
Mm,
this is, kind of like this different approach to a model of let's say if it was like network television, this would be very different. And I think I guess if we're still trying to define what it means to be a streaming network, and a lot of these streaming networks, one thing that Netflix doesn't do is that while it does charge a fee, you don't see any commercials, and that might be another option that they might provide where they say, you can have free access, but it'll be a commercial version. And I don't think that there is a version of that, right, Russ,
mm.
for Netflix?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. With Netflix, I think I'd be pretty pissed off if I paid for Netflix and it started putting adverts on it, because that's what you're paying not to have. You literally are paying your. That's why I've got everybody that I know pays the £10 a month or £12 a month, whatever it is, for YouTube Premium, because nobody wants to watch those adverts. They've just gone over the top. Um,
Yeah, they
yeah.
really have. I mean, I think that the idea, and Mikey Lito mentions that YouTube Red had another Jordan Peele series at the same time he was doing The Twilight Zone on CBS All Access.
Mm,
Yeah, it seemed like YouTube Red was trying to define what it would mean to be, a service that was initially all streaming, and now, doing sort of like studio style productions. I mean, I already know that in YouTube, a lot of the content that's on YouTube is used in other types of programming. So it is kind of a resource, if you will, for not just other YouTubers to utilize, but other companies that wanna make specific genre style programming, and that has been very successful, for, I guess, organizations that make like I had mentioned before about this, children's network where
Hmm.
where people had just sort of posted their kids, playing with blocks,
Yeah.
and, sort of this building blocks thing, and it was an absolutely adorable, event, and so this company said, "Hey, can I purchase, 5 minutes of this screening time to use as a background for when we're teaching about numbers and letters?" And so, I think excuse me, I think Netflix might be able to benefit from that, but one thing I am gonna say is that, in regards to their controversial, work, they've kind of had a lot of bumps along the way. And,
Mm.
creating a network is not easy. Essentially what they're trying to do is to create a proper network television. It'll be like a cable channel, I guess, Russ, if they were to do this. And I think a lot of people wouldn't care for that. I think it shouldn't necessarily be a cable style channel. Um, and Bloodsport one says, I have idea of Netflix call Wonder Ear. A young man can hear everyone and everything at the same time, and it will drive him crazy, causing him to grow 10 feet tall and eat random rabbits, cats, and dogs. Okay.
Yeah. There's a comic book in that, if not a Netflix show, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And so Stubble looks like he's on his way there, heading out, I guess. Bye, Stubble. I didn't even see that part. Oh, yeah. See you
Yeah,
all
he
next
just says see
week.
you next week. Yeah, I just think it's because you were starting to wrap up. So
Yeah. I'm gonna have to wrap up, guys. But I did just want to say it was actually kind of a quiet week in entertainment, was it not, Russ?
yeah, it was. I was fully prepared to go on about Chuck Norris and Red Dawn this afternoon in the lack of any news and this, the Netflix stuff that we kind of touched on. But I think everyone here knows you, everyone here loves you, and everyone here is more concerned about you looking after yourself than listening to me talk about Invasion USA for 2 hours. So we must just draw a line under it here and then come back bigger and stronger next week.
Absolutely, everybody. So please do enjoy your morning this morning, guys. I know Bloodsport was talking about these Doctor Strange Part 2 toys, which did come out. There's a lot of figures that came out. Thank you so much, Bloodsport One, for that. And Doctor Strange, unfortunately, we were talking about whether or not Doctor Strange, how it would do in the second week of their box office, and they really have not done, what they could have done,
Yeah, word of mouth got out, didn't it?
for the second week, I think. A Absolutely. Oops, absolutely, word of mouth did excuse me, get out, and, so that was, not a surprise there. Um, and the other thing that I was gonna say is, Mike Alito was talking about Twitch. No, I guess no Twitch talk. I haven't followed anything about them. Only other thing that I know is that Elon's, purchase had been stopped for Twitter, and, that was going to be, one of the most, exacerbating things for Twitter now, having to find itself accountable for either, these bot subscriptions
Mhm.
and also, just like Zasloff is cutting jobs, for the networks that he's, kind of over, Twitter is also having a situation like that. So, I think that, this is maybe gonna be one of the most craziest, most, restructured, years ever in entertainment, thus far, and, I think we're into May, but I think things are it's gonna be a red hot summer, Russ. That's my,
It's gonna be a red hot week for me because this week now, 3 days time, Warner Brothers are having their Warner Brothers Discovery are having their Investor Day where shit gets announced. So the Zachalites and Snyder Bros are at a frenzy, expecting, praying, and hoping that we're going to get something out of this meeting. So come this time next week, I will be in celebratory mood or crushed. So we shall see.
oh my gosh, I can't wait to find out what happens, and guys, thanks for bearing with me today. I did eat something that I don't normally eat, so I can admit to that.
Mm.
It tasted great, but, I'm paying the price for this, guys. It's horrible. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you all have a great Sunday. And thank you for showing up. And it's good to see all of our friends here in the community. Russ, where can people find you?
Normally here, or I have a website called russellwhitfield.com. I think I'm on Facebook. I hardly ever look at it. I scroll through it. You can email me at contact at russellwhitfield.com should you wish to. But more importantly, where can we find you?
Well, of course, guys, you can find me on my YouTube channel here, Positive Fandom, and on Twitch on Positive Fandom. On Monday nights, you can find me on Toxic Femininity with Lorraine Creel and Nina Infinity, along with Tom Connors. Sometimes on Wednesdays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays and Thursdays, you can find me on Uncivilized Scoundrels on the 1/6 Scale Man Network. And of course, I do my show with Lorraine Creel, the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on Twitch live. And then there's a rebroadcast usually on Sundays. So there'll be a rebroadcast today of our most recent show, which features the Northman. You can also find me on you can also find me at on Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern on Midnight's Edge in the Morning with Andre and Tom. And of course, you can find me on the network on the PGS streaming with Robert. We had a stream where I streamed this weekend from his new place. So if you guys haven't checked that out, certainly do. Robert had a great broadcast for his birthday show. Today's his birthday. And Tom Jr. Jackson is mentioning that there is a Let's Get Physical Media today at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, guys. So I know you guys enjoy that show with Dieter and Rob too. Thank you everybody for coming today. Okay, just so you know, Bloodsport one. I had a dish. I think it was eel, and I never eat that. And I know that that's what made me feel unwell, but it tasted great. So I'm so sorry to kind of be bailing out, but it is wonderful to see you all. Thank you for mentioning that you're vegan, Dennis. If I had, perhaps I wouldn't be feeling this way now. So everybody, thank you so much for coming. Tom Jr. Jackson, as always, we are Goof people, and thank you for
Thanks,
moderating
Tom.
the show. And for all of you out there, I sure hope that you are well. And remember to please always be kind, everybody, and please take care. Yeah,
Take
it is.
care, guys.